Hello there, I'm Detective and welcome back to Kaiser Redux. In today's video we are playing the Italian Republic and our goal will be simple: restoring Italian greatness into the world. I may sound a little bit stiff, it's because I am still pretty ill. Unfortunately I don't have much choices as I have to do those recordings now or else I will forget about them forever, but yeah. So, basically our situation is still terrible, like there's the communists in the south, and we are under the Austrian Empire. Of course, there was also the failure of the Federation, which actually happened before we, broke apart into 4 countries. So, yeah, today's video we're going to try to make the Federation succeed, because why not? As per the usual, please consider liking this video if you end up enjoying it. I personally would really appreciate it, plus it will let me know that you want more videos like this. Eventually, please consider subscribing, or maybe even joining the Discord server. I would love that too. Anyways, yeah, enjoy. That's basically the shameless self-promotion part. Anyways, Black Monday happened, however we are already solving the crisis, and the elections should happen soon actually. Yep, right there. Basically we wanna get anyone except the ANI, so yeah, just get those people in charge. Of course, the ANI is kind of annoying, because literally right-wingers, I know, right? Crazy. So of course we are going to ban them. And this made the government very popular, because there's a lot of right-wingers in Italy. What a surprise. And of course the government just falls, and we have the ability to restore the Italian Federation. We could choose under the Grand Duke of Tuscany or the Visconti di Mondron. We chose Giuseppe Ferdinando actually. So yeah, now it's time to restore the Federation of Italy. However, we still have got quite a lot of things to do. We need to prepare for the war, plus the Italian Socialist Republic is going to be annoying to deal with. However, we can assert our legitimacy by tying ourselves to the church and destroying the remnants of the Republicans. So I've decided to, for some reason, support the Carlists. I know it would have been a better pick for me to just have helped the German aligned kingdom. However, yeah, it's actually going to backfire, funnily enough. So, yeah. After doing a lot of preparations, nearly tripling our economy and our military, we are finally going to try and put efforts to unite Italy. However, this is going to be relatively hard, because Italy is in the Third International in Kaiser Redux. However, I don't think the French actually have the ability to help the Italians at all, other than, well, quite simply just sending volunteers. However, I think we should be alright. Especially if the South Italians actually enter the war, we should be alright. Time for the Italian Civil War to begin. And very quickly, you can see that the Italians are relatively weak around the flanks of Milan, meaning that we could attack them to relieve some pressure from Milan actually, and maybe advance all the way to Turin. Of course, it didn't really seem like the Italians had many units around here, so we could quite simply just go around them and advance very quickly towards Turin. We cut Turin off the rest of Italy, and we could advance towards the Alps in order to focus all of our efforts on an offensive towards Genoa and the south. However, first off, Turin is the main destination that we need to defeat. Some of our loyalists rose from Lucca, and we decided to quite simply create a little bit of havoc using them. I don't know what is up with OE4 devs on putting like random divisions in other people's rounds, but it has never really succeeded at doing anything. So Italians were breaking really fast. We took the coast of Tuscany, and we could quite easily relocate all of our troops towards a massive offensive towards Florence and defeat the Socialists. And so as soon as the Second Weltkrieg actually started, we got to take over all of the Socialist Italians, meaning that they couldn't call in the French, and we could stay far from the Second Weltkrieg for a little bit longer. Killing the Italian kingdom in the south wasn't too difficult either. They are weaker than the socialists, and really, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. And so we could unite all of Italy under our federation. Italy united, a new power rises. The Italian Federation has been restored to all of Italy, minus Sardinia, but we can deal with Sardinia at a later date. However, we didn't waste too much time with peace, because our next plan was to attack the Austrian Empire for South Tyrol, Istria and Dalmatia. Problem was, I tried to unite with Sardinia, they refused and we declared war on them, and they joined the Spanish and the Austrians for some reason, which is really fun. Of course, we very quickly landed and actually got to take over the entirety of Sardinia. However, we took over like southern Tyrol. However, yeah, the Austrians were going to be a pain to push back. However, we didn't need to kill Austria. Look at the major. Only the Spanish are considered a major, meaning that we could quite literally just land in them, considering they still had their civil war, and we could easily destroy them. They barely have any units in their homeland. We landed in Catalonia, and now was the time to take quite literally every single VP that we could. After a short amount of time, all we had to do is take Valencia and some extra cities. Never mind, okay. Well, we got, for killing Spain, we got all of Austria, Hungary, Czechia, southern Poland and Ukraine, Illyria, but also Serbia and Romania, which is quite a ton of lands if you were to ask me. So, yeah, already we did not really do anything, yet most of our irredentist claims got completely achieved already. All of the former Austrian Empire is now under our control. And all of that with barely a fight! How cool is that? Another thing we were able to do is join the Commonwealth of Nations alongside Russia. So, basically, before the war with Austria, Russia had actually asked us for an alliance, and we decided to simply accept, because why not? So, yeah, we decided to give them quite a little bit of land to their Ukrainian puppet, including Lvov. This quite literally means the existence of a very strong Italo-Russian axis, which owns quite a ton of land if you were to ask me. However, we all had one enemy in common, and that was the communists. We wanted Corsica, Nice and Savoy from them, but also Ticino from the Swiss, while the Russians probably wanted to own more of Germany because they barely got anything. They only got like the Baltics, Lithuania, Ukraine and Belarus, and they probably want more. Russia had nearly 300 units, and we got the puppet on the Swiss because I just did a very quick war with them. However, soon was going to be the time for the reconquest of our lost territories in the West, and also the eradication of communism in Europe, which is always a good sight to see. So Russia demanded Bessarabia, and quite honestly, we accepted because we wanted to remain in the Commonwealth of Nations, plus we were at war with the Third International. However, funnily enough, they didn't bother to actually take Bessarabia, and Romania still got to keep their territory, which is really funny. You can see that the war wasn't really that difficult. We already took over every territory around Provence, and while the Third International has been single-handedly dealing with all of Germany, we quite literally just killed Spain off for a lot of money, and that was it. So yeah, we called all of our allies to get Russia into the war. A little bit of a mistake from my part, because this would create another front in the north. However, we could kill France before it happened. Right? Right? We were already at the gates of Paris. However, the Russians didn't really do anything about Germany. All they've done is push all the way to the Vistula, and that's it. We've even lost all of Czechia because, yeah, that's a new, the new front is really starting to annoy us. So Russia, can you send more units over there? I know you're only fighting the Third International, but I am fighting them too. So come on. The French would actually capitulate in July, which is really close to their national day, which is really funny. What a strange coincidence. This will also mean that the whole Iberian front will end, and we could push towards Germany, which still barely had any troops. It was recovering from the civil war, and generally the Third International didn't really want them to have a big army again, because Germany with big army is generally bad Germany. Somehow the Russians landed in Britain, and so we could simply go into the landing to go and capitulate the Third International and defeat communism in Europe forever. Because the French government collapsed, we simply decided that we were going to set up a puppet government in them and actually go and take our puppets as well as rightful colonies. We are attacking Egypt and the whole K-Rope axis for those territories, and it is time for Italy's place in the sun to return, because why not? Colonies is good for Italy, and this time we won't get humiliated like we were before. It didn't take us too much time to actually conquer everybody, as soon as Egypt basically died, we could simply capitulate the entirety of the Cairo axis and reclaim Italy's position in the southern Mediterranean. And there we go, Italian greatness has been achieved again, and we basically control the entirety of the Mediterranean now. We nearly own the same territories as the Roman Empire. Funnily enough, only Britain and Poland are not in the Commonwealth of Nations, which is really funny. Alongside Russia, we have created a new world order for all of Europe except Poland and Britain, and also for some reason Iceland. Which, what the hell happened to Iceland? I don't know. They got a Viking in charge. What? Why? Okay. Sure. Anyways, this is basically it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, then please consider giving a like and a follow. It would help me out a lot. Plus, I'd really appreciate it personally. Eventually, consider subscribing. It will also help me out a lot, and I'd appreciate it even more. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today. Hope you've enjoyed, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye!